She was laughing at the bar, leaning closer to him with every sip, like the rest of the room didn't exist. I stood across the street, watching through the glass, feeling something inside me go completely quiet. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even shock. It was just certainty. She had told me she was meeting an old friend for a quick catch-up. Now, her hand was resting on his arm, and she was giving him a smile I hadn't seen in weeks. I didn't storm in. I waited. I stood there until I was absolutely sure, until there was no room left for doubt to hide. When I finally walked inside, the music was low and warm, the kind of place designed for secrets. I went straight to the bar and ordered a drink I had no intention of touching. Then I took the small velvet box from my pocket. The ring inside caught the dim light for just a second before I snapped it shut. The bartender noticed my hands were shaking. I asked him to place the box next to the drink being delivered to the woman in the corner booth. He hesitated for a moment. I didn't offer an explanation. I didn't need to. And I watched her eyes frantically scan the room until they finally found mine. We held eye contact for a long, silent moment. I didn't wave. I didn't scowl. I just turned around and walked out. The cold night air hit me harder than I expected. I made it halfway to my car before I heard hurried footsteps behind me. He wasn't the betrayal itself, he was just the evidence. I drove home alone, replaying months of moments that I had dismissed. The late nights she said were for work. The way she would brush off my questions like they were insults. By the time I pulled into my driveway, a cold realization started to set in. The truth was so much bigger than what I saw at that bar. The house was quiet, but it wasn't empty. A car I recognized was parked right there. My stomach dropped before my mind could even process it. I walked inside without knocking. There were shoes by the door that didn't belong to me. I heard voices upstairs that stopped the second I reached the hallway. And then he appeared at the top of the stairs, my brother. He froze solid when he saw me, pure fear spreading across his face. A moment later, she stepped into view from behind him, wearing clothes that weren't hers. No one spoke. There was nothing left to say I didn't shout. With everything they thought they could take from me quietly. The next few days were a blur, lawyers, bank accounts. One by one, the ugly truth started surfacing. My brother had been stealing from our family business for over a year, and she knew about it. She helped him cover it up. The reason they kept their secrets wasn't love. It was convenience. So I pressed charges, I ended contracts. I changed all the locks. I answered my son's questions with honesty, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. The court proceedings came and went. The consequences arrived not with loud drama, but with quiet finality. Months later, the house felt lighter, smaller, but more honest. My son started laughing again. I finally started sleeping through the night. I began to rebuild my trust, not necessarily in other people, but in my own judgment. One evening, as I was sitting alone on the porch, a simple but powerful thought occurred to me. Returning that ring wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. It was the moment I chose myself. And I have never, for a single second, regretted that walk out of the bar.